Listen to me. If you want to change your life, you've got to start by changing the first moments of your day, because the way you wake up determines the way you show up. The world isn't stealing your success. Your habits are. The distractions aren't winning. Your mornings are losing. And you can't keep living like that and expect greatness to magically appear. Every single day starts with a choice long before you check your phone, long before you talk to anybody, long before the world even knows you're awake. That first hour, that's your battlefield. That's where the war is won or lost. Most people wake up reacting. They wake up tired, irritated, frustrated, already behind, already overwhelmed, and they don't realize they're starting their day in defeat. They roll over, grab the phone, and the first thing they see is a message, a problem, bad news, or somebody else's life. Before they even stand up, they're drowning in noise. Think about that. The very first moment that belongs to you, you hand it away. You give it to a screen. You give it to stress. You give it to a world that doesn't care about your goals. And then you wonder why you can't get ahead. Winning your morning means taking back ownership of those first minutes. It means deciding what energy you're stepping into the day with. It means being intentional, not accidental. You cannot wake up sloppy, messy, unfocused, and expect to walk into clarity, discipline, and excellence. It doesn't work like that. Your morning shapes your mind shapes your decisions shape your future. So understand, how you start isn't small, it's everything. There's something powerful about waking up with purpose, about opening your eyes and saying, today isn't happening to me, I'm happening to it. When you win your morning, you walk out the door already in control. You're not rushing. You're not panicking. You're not stumbling into problems. You're steady. You're sharp. You're grounded. You're locked in. And when life throws something at you later in the day, you're prepared because you built your mindset before the world even began. Winning the first hour is about alignment. It's reminding yourself of who you are and what you're fighting for. Most people lose because they forget their mission the moment their feet hit the floor. They forget the dream. They forget the grind. They forget the promise they made to themselves. The morning is where you wake up the fire. It's where you reconnect with the vision. It's where you whisper to yourself, let's go. We're not average. We were built for more. But here's the part nobody likes to talk about. Winning your morning requires discipline. It requires getting up when your mind says sleep. It requires moving when your body says rest. It requires showing up even when nobody is watching, applauding, or encouraging you. You don't win your morning by accident. You win it by commitment. You win it by choosing structure over comfort. You win it by understanding that success is not a mood, it's a method, and I need you to hear this. You don't have to start perfect. You just have to start. Even small changes create massive results over time. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. Stretch, pray, meditate, read something that feeds your mind, write down your goals, sit in silence. Breathe, drink water before caffeine. Do something that tells your mind we are in control today. Because when you do that consistently, your body starts trusting you. Your mind starts trusting you. Your spirit starts trusting you. You start trusting yourself. People who win their mornings don't wait for motivation. They create momentum. They build a foundation before the world tries to shake it. They build strength before stress shows up. They build clarity before chaos hits. And guess what? When challenges come later in the day, and they will, you're not fragile anymore. You're fortified, you're anchored, you're ready. The world gets your leftovers when you start your mornings wrong. But when you win your morning, the world gets your power, your wisdom, your focus, your best self. And when you live from that place, everything changes: your productivity, your confidence, your discipline, your peace. You stop surviving your days and start dominating them. You've spent too much time waking up defeated, too much time waking up distracted, too much time waking up without direction. You owe yourself more than that. You owe yourself a morning that prepares you for battle, not one that drains you before you even begin. Winning your morning is not just a habit, it's a lifestyle, it's a declaration, it's a message to the universe that says, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm not living on autopilot anymore. And the moment you commit to that, really commit, your life will never look the same. Start your day like a winner and the day will follow your lead. Most people wake up every day with routines that drain them instead of build them. They don't even realize it because it's normal now. They roll out of bed at the last possible second. They rush, they panic, they move without intention, and they call it life. But let me tell you something. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And the reason many people stay stuck is because their habits are weak. Their habits are built for survival, not success. Their mornings are chaotic, and then they wonder why their whole life feels the same way. If you want to be great, you've got to build rituals that build you. A ritual isn't something you do when you feel like it. A ritual is something you commit to because you understand it shapes your identity. Real growth isn't loud. It doesn't come from loud motivation, loud speeches, loud moments. Real growth comes from the quiet decisions you make when nobody's watching, especially in the morning. The morning is when discipline is forged. The morning is where you train yourself to show up regardless of your emotions. And hear me when I say this, emotions are temporary, but habits are permanent. You can't rely on how you feel when you open your eyes. You've got to rely on who you've decided to be. You need rituals that sharpen your mind, rituals that strengthen your spirit, rituals that prepare your body for the work ahead. Because if the first thing you do every morning is feed yourself negativity, noise, comparison, or chaos, what do you think you're going to carry into the rest of the day? You walk around confused, unfocused, irritated, drained, and you can't even trace the problem back to the moment you started your morning on autopilot. But when you build rituals that build you, everything starts to shift. Your mornings become a training ground. You become intentional. You become aware. You start shaping your mindset instead of letting the world shape it for you. And suddenly, you're not waking up feeling behind, you're waking up ahead. You're not waking up trying to catch up to your life, you're waking up in control of it. The thing about rituals is that they don't have to be complicated. People think they need a whole fancy routine, candles, music, journals, energy crystals, 10 different supplements. No, you just need consistency. You just need something that strengthens you every day, something that reminds you of your goals, something that helps you step into your power before the world tests it. It could be waking up 20 minutes earlier to sit in silence. It could be writing down your goals so you don't forget why you're grinding. It could be reading something that fuels your mind instead of scrolling through people's lives. It could be praying, meditating, stretching, walking, breathing, anything that aligns your thoughts with the person you want to become. The specifics don't matter, the discipline does, and don't get it twisted. The hardest part of building rituals isn't starting them, it's sticking to them. Anybody can do something for 2 days. Anybody can wake up early once. Anybody can try to be disciplined for a week. But the ones who win are the ones who keep doing it even after the excitement wears off, even after the motivation fades, even after the morning feels heavy, even after the world feels loud. They keep showing up. They keep honoring their rituals. They keep becoming stronger. That's why rituals matter, because they train you to be someone you can trust. Most people can't trust themselves. They say they're going to wake up early and don't. They say they're going to change and don't. They say they're going to stop procrastinating and don't. It's not because they're weak. It's because they've never given themselves proof that they can follow through. Rituals give you that proof. Rituals build that confidence. Rituals give you evidence that you are who you say you are. And once you start becoming consistent with those small acts every morning, something incredible happens. You start living differently. You start thinking differently. You start walking differently. You stop seeking motivation because you've built momentum. You stop waiting for the perfect day because you're creating strong days. You stop waking up lost because your morning becomes your compass. You don't need permission anymore. You don't need validation. You don't need a perfect environment. You've built your own structure. You've built your own fire. And the crazy part, when you finally build rituals that build you, people will notice. They'll notice your focus. They'll notice your discipline. They'll notice your confidence. They'll notice you're not the same person anymore because your mornings aren't the same anymore. And everything that grows in your life will grow from that change. The morning is not just the start of your day, it's the start of your identity. So build rituals that remind you of your potential, not your problems. Build rituals that fuel your strength, not your stress. Build rituals that take you closer to your future instead of trapping you in your past. Because when your habits rise, your life rises with them. Build the rituals, and the version of you you've been dreaming of will finally have room to exist. You cannot win your morning if you wake up and immediately hand it over to the world. Too many people start their day in reaction, not intention. The phone vibrates and suddenly your attention is gone. Social media loads and suddenly your confidence is shaken. Messages come in and suddenly you're carrying someone else's stress, someone else's problems, someone else's emotions, and the sun hasn't even been up for an hour. You're losing your morning before you even take your first breath with purpose. And you don't even realize it because it has become normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy. Normal doesn't mean powerful. Normal doesn't mean necessary. You have to protect your morning like your life depends on it, because your future actually does. The first hour of your day is not a negotiation. It's not optional. It's not something you give away lightly. What you let into your morning becomes the energy you carry into your day. If you let chaos in, you carry chaos. If you let comparison in, you carry insecurity. If you let noise in, you carry distraction. And you can't expect clarity to grow in a mind that's crowded. Let me tell you the truth. The world will always take as much of you as you allow. Notifications don't care about your purpose. Messages don't care about your discipline. Feeds don't care about your mental health. Algorithms don't care about your peace. You have to care, you have to choose. You have to draw a line that says, before the world gets a piece of me, I'm going to give the best part of myself to myself. You can't wake up and immediately scroll through people who are not living your life. Not fighting your battles, not chasing your dreams, not walking your path. The moment you compare your beginning to someone else's highlight reel, your focus is already broken. Your spirit is already weakened. Your drive is already compromised. That's how fast it happens. 1 minute of distraction can steal an entire day of momentum. And some of you don't even realize how much of your day is spent trying to recover from the noise you let in the first 10 minutes of your morning. One negative comment, one stressful message, one piece of bad news, one reminder of something that didn't go right. It flips your mood, drains your energy, steals your clarity, and suddenly you're annoyed, tired, unfocused, and emotionally cluttered for the rest of the day. Not because your life is chaotic, but because your morning was unprotected. You need boundaries, you need discipline. You need rules for yourself, not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. And powerful people don't let just anything enter their mind first thing in the morning. Your morning is not a dumping ground. Your morning is not a storage unit for everybody else's issues. Your morning is where you build your mindset, sharpen your focus, strengthen your spirit, and activate your purpose. When you intentionally protect your morning, something crazy happens. You start hearing your own voice again. You start feeling your own energy again. You start reconnecting with your goals, your direction, your calling. You stop being pulled by the world and start being guided by your mission. You begin your day from a place of power instead of pressure. You want peace, protect your morning. You want clarity, protect your morning. You want focus, protect your morning. You want consistency, protect your morning. You want self-respect, protect your morning, and don't let anyone trip you for it. People will try to make you feel selfish for taking time for yourself. They'll say you're different now, or not as available, or too focused. Let them talk. Because the people who get mad about you protecting your morning are the same ones who benefit when you're tired, distracted, and drained. They don't care about your growth, they care about your accessibility, and you can't keep sacrificing your success to make other people comfortable. Protecting your morning doesn't mean shutting people out. It means prioritizing your internal world before responding to the external world. It means giving your goals attention before giving your attention away. It means choosing alignment over noise, purpose over distraction, intention over impulse. You deserve to start your day with calm, not chaos. You deserve to wake up with clarity, not confusion. You deserve to step into your day with confidence, not comparison. You deserve a morning that supports your growth, not sabotages it. So make the decision. No phone for the first hour. No social media before you talk to your goals. No conversations before you check in with your purpose. No rushing into the world before you've centered your mind. That one decision, done consistently, will transform your life more than any motivational speech, any productivity hack, or any miracle routine. Protect your morning and your future will thank you. You have to understand something. Winning your morning is not just about discipline. It's about creating momentum so strong that nothing during the day can knock you off your path. When you build momentum early, the rest of the day doesn't feel like a battle. It feels like a continuation. The problem is, most people wait for motivation to appear before they start moving. They wait for the right mood, the right energy, the right moment. But momentum doesn't come from waiting. Momentum is born from motion. It's built through action. It's created by doing the things you don't want to do, especially when you don't feel like doing them. Too many people wake up slow, move slow, think slow, and then wonder why their life feels stuck. They're not lacking talent. They're not lacking opportunity. They're lacking momentum. They're lacking that spark in the morning that gets the engine running. And it's not because they don't have the ability, it's because they don't have the habits. Habits build momentum, and momentum builds direction. You need to start your day with something that puts you in motion. Movement creates energy, discipline creates confidence, progress creates belief. Even the smallest action done consistently can build a momentum so powerful that it becomes the driving force of your entire life. That's why the morning matters so much, because once momentum starts rolling, you become unstoppable. You become harder to distract, harder to discourage, harder to defeat. Because when you start your day with movement, you walk into the world already activated. Think about it. When you knock out something meaningful early, everything else becomes easier. When you win that first task, you stand taller. When you keep a promise to yourself before the world wakes up, your confidence rises. When you generate momentum, you don't have to rely on motivation anymore. Motivation might fail you, but momentum will carry you. Momentum is your armor. Momentum is your shield. Momentum is the force that keeps you going when your emotions want you to quit. You ever notice how hard it is to start something, but how easy it is to keep going once you start? That's the power of momentum. It removes hesitation. It removes doubt. It removes the emotional weight that usually slows you down. And momentum can come from something small. You don't need a 3-hour routine. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need motion. Maybe it's a journal entry. Maybe it's 10 minutes of reading. Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it's deep breathing. Maybe it's cleaning your space. Maybe it's a quick workout. Maybe it's drinking water and centering your mind. Whatever it is, do it with intention and do it consistently, because consistency is what turns small actions into unstoppable momentum. Momentum works like a chain reaction. When you do one thing right, you start craving the next right thing. When you accomplish one task, you're more likely to accomplish the next. When you start your day with discipline, you become more disciplined throughout the day. That's why losing your morning hurts so much, because you can feel the loss of momentum all day long. You feel sluggish. You feel distracted. You feel behind. You feel like you're constantly trying to catch up instead of moving forward with power. But when you win your morning, the energy shifts. You're not reacting anymore. You're leading. You're not surviving. You're executing. You're not dragging yourself through the day. You're driving yourself through it. And that energy becomes contagious. It makes you more productive, more focused, more intentional, more resilient. People will ask you, how are you getting so much done? Momentum. People will ask you, how are you so consistent? Momentum. People will ask you, how do you stay disciplined? Momentum. Momentum changes your identity. When you start stacking wins early in the day, you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. That's the real transformation, not the action, but the identity shift that comes from showing up for yourself day after day. Momentum gives you pride. Momentum gives you strength. Momentum rebuilds belief in yourself. It reminds you that you are capable of more than your excuses, more than your fears, more than your doubts. It reminds you that the power to change your life doesn't come from luck or motivation. It comes from motion. And here's the thing, momentum is earned. Nobody can hand it to you. Nobody can wake up for you. Nobody can move for you. Nobody can discipline you into the life you want. This is your responsibility. This is your weight to carry. This is your moment to claim. But once you claim it, once you taste that feeling of starting your day strong, you won't want to go back. You won't want to waste your mornings anymore. You won't want to break the momentum that's carrying you into a better version of yourself. When you start your day with momentum, you don't just win the morning, you win the hours that follow. And when you win enough days, you start winning weeks. When you win weeks, you start winning months. When you win months, you start winning years. And before you know it, momentum has carried you into a life you once thought was impossible. Win your morning, build your momentum, and let that momentum carry you to greatness.